Well, it's been a long time coming, but at long last, the House of Lords is to be replaced by a wholly elected second chamber. It's almost 100 years ago since a Liberal government, such things did used to exist, introduced the Parliament Act, asserting the supremacy of the elected House of Commons over the unelected House of Lords. And the Lords has been on borrowed time ever since, but such is the British way of doing things that it's been allowed to build up huge debts in the meantime. Some will mourn the passing of the House of Lords, either for its rather whiskery quaintness, or for the learned contribution that very many of the peers across parties have made in improving legislation in their specialist areas down the years. And it's quite right that we should acknowledge the distinguished service of many of those peers, but it's even more right that we should bid them a fond farewell. Democracy is nothing without accountability, and it was always beyond quirky that while parish councillors must face the electorate, members of our second chamber didn't need to. Tony Benn set 5 questions to ask those in power, and it's worth applying those to the House of Lords to see how it fares. First of all, what power does the House of Lords have? Though the Lords doesn't initiate legislation, don't underestimate the power of revising legislation to influence our lives. I've never understood, incidentally, why it is that those who oppose Lords reform fear that a second chamber will usurp the Commons' powers. More people voted for Ken Livingstone than voted for Tony Blair as individuals, but that doesn't make London's mayor more important than the Prime Minister. The second question Mr. Benn asked was, where did you get your power from? Where does the Lords' power come from? Well, in the Lords it's either as a result of an accident of birth or the result of patronage. Neither are great qualifications in my book for holding legislative power. Question number 3. In whose interests does the House of Lords exercise its power? Well, technically it's the public interest, but as the public didn't put the peers in the Lords, they're not bound to take any interest in the public's views. Of course, any sane country would have a written constitution which defined the rights and responsibilities of those elected, but we're British and we don't go in for sameness where possible. Fourth question from Mr. Benn. To whom are the House of Lords accountable? Well, that's an easy one. No one. So let's move straight on to the 5th question, which is how can we get rid of you? How can we get rid of the House of Lords? And the simple answer to that again is you can't. Well, you couldn't, except we've just done it. So will electing the House of Lords transform the quality of legislation enacted? That's doubtful. After all, our elected representatives should be representative of the public they serve, so some will be great and some won't. Our job as electors is to make sure that those who are great outnumber those who aren't. Democracy just doesn't work unless we're all up for it.